countryside of Vermont, where rolling fields give way to dense woods, an old farmhouse stood like a sentinel of forgotten times. Weathered by decades of storms and summers, the house carried with it a weight of history. Whispered through its creaking floorboards and peeling paint, for most passers-by, it was just another relic of rural America. But for Michael, a young man in his late 20s, it was something more. This was his late grandfather's house, a place filled with memories of childhood summers, family gatherings, and stories told by the fire when the nights grew cold. Michael hadn't been back in years. After his grandfather's passing, the house had been left untouched, gathering dust and silence. But now, with plans to restore it, and perhaps even live there, he returned. The first time he stepped inside, the scent of aged wood and faint smoke from an old fireplace hit him like a wave of nostalgia. Every corner seemed to echo with laughter, voices long gone, and moments frozen in time. Yet, beneath the warmth of memory, there was something else, something heavier, lurking in the stillness. It began as he walked through the narrow hallway leading to the kitchen. His foot pressed down on a board that gave way slightly more than the others. At first, he thought nothing of it. Old houses always had quirks, boards that stuck, but something about this one felt different. It dipped more than it should, almost as if it were hollow beneath. Kneeling down, he ran his fingers across the wood, noticing faint scratches around the edges as though someone, long ago, had pried it open. His curiosity piqued, Michael fetched a crowbar from the shed. The sound of wood splintering echoed through the empty house as he carefully pried the board loose. Beneath it lay a dark, narrow cavity, and within that darkness, something metallic caught the light. Heart pounding, he reached down and pulled out a small, rusted tin box, its hinges nearly fused shut with age. After a moment of struggle, it opened with a groan, revealing yellowed papers, old photographs, and a delicate silver locket. At first glance, they seemed like nothing more than keepsakes, but the photographs told a story he couldn't ignore. Faces stared back at him, faces he didn't recognize. The men wore uniforms from World War II, while one photograph showed a woman standing in front of the very same farmhouse, smiling with an air of mystery. On the back, written in faded ink, were words that sent chills down his spine. To be found only by family, our truth lies here. The locket contained a tiny photograph of the same woman, and inside the tin box, he found a folded letter sealed with wax. The paper was brittle, the handwriting elegant, but rushed, as if written in secrecy. It spoke of hidden possessions, debts unpaid, and a secret buried beneath the farmhouse, something too valuable, too dangerous to be spoken of openly. Michael's hands trembled as he read, realizing his grandfather had known about this. Night fell quickly, and with it came a storm. Rain battered the windows, and the farmhouse groaned under the wind. Michael sat at the old kitchen table, the box spread before him, trying to piece together the fragments of history. Each photograph, each word in the letter, seemed to hint at a deeper story, one involving smuggled artifacts, perhaps even stolen treasures brought back from the war. His grandfather had been a kind and humble man, but could it be possible that he had guarded such a secret for decades? Determined to uncover more, Michael ventured into the cellar. The smell of damp earth and mildew clung to the air. He traced the stone walls with his flashlight, his breath echoing in the stillness. Then, near the far corner, he noticed something peculiar. The stones seemed uneven, as if they had been replaced at some point. Dropping to his knees, he felt along the seams, his fingers brushing against a faint outline of what looked like a sealed compartment. His heart raced as he realized he had stumbled upon something hidden in plain sight. Using a hammer and chisel, he worked at the stones until one came loose, revealing a small hollow behind the wall. Inside was another box, this one larger, made of oak and bound with rusted iron. With great effort, he dragged it out into the open. The lock had long since corroded, and with a final strike of the hammer, the box creaked open. Inside, cushioned by rotting cloth, were objects that took his breath, wagery coins and strange artifacts that looked far older than the war. Some pieces bore markings he didn't recognize, symbols etched into the metal that seemed almost ancient. As the storm raged outside, Michael sat staring at the artifacts, torn between awe and dread. Why had his grandfather hidden these things? Where had they come from? And why had no one ever spoken of them? The letters, words echoed in his mind. Our truth lies here. Could it be that his family's history was entwined with something far greater than he ever imagined? Every creak of the house felt like a whisper, every shadow like a watchful eye. Michael knew he couldn't keep this discovery to himself, but who could he trust? If the wrong people found out, the treasure could bring danger, not just fortune. Yet he also felt a deep obligation to understand the story, to honor whatever truth his grandfather had guarded so carefully. The following days were consumed with research. Michael pored over the photographs, compared the uniforms to historical archives, and reached out to local historians. The artifacts, they said, resembled relics thought to be lost in Europe during the chaos of the war. Some even speculated connections to smuggling rings that had operated secretly, moving priceless items across borders when nations were collapsing. His grandfather, it seemed, had been far more than the gentle farmer he remembered. He had been a guardian, a keeper of secrets too dangerous to reveal. As weeks passed, Michael uncovered letters hidden within the farmhouse's attic, journals written by his grandfather himself. They revealed a life of duality, a farmer by trade, but also a man burdened with a promise. He had sworn to protect these artifacts until someone in the family was ready to shoulder the responsibility. And now, by fate or chance, that burden had fallen to Michael. Every discovery drew him deeper into the mystery, but it also brought an unshakable sense of being watched. Strangers appeared in town, asking questions about the farmhouse. Once, late at night, Michael saw headlights lingering at the edge of the property before vanishing into the trees. The past was no longer just history, it was alive, reaching into the present, testing his courage. And so the farmhouse became more than a home. It became a puzzle, a doorway into forgotten truths, and a test of loyalty. Each night, Michael felt closer to unraveling the entire story, yet further from peace, because some secrets, he realized, are buried not just to be hidden, but to protect those who would dare to find them.